What's going on, everyone? Andrew here again with Total Running Productions exclusive, and today we're going to talk about dominance. We're going to talk about something that Sydney McLaughlin has just done that again reinforces that she's one of the greatest female athletes of her generation. We put up a poll asking you guys who you thought would be the World Athletics Female Athlete of the Year, and Sydney McLaughlin has raked in 73%, almost 3/4 of this vote. Now, it only took you guys about 36 minutes to vote over 1,000 times. So, again, you guys are just legends. Thank you very much for voting. But Sydney McLaughlin, over very talented competition, is looking like a very powerful front-runner. Now, this is definitely slightly skewed because the audience that is on Total Running Productions does not reflect the international audience that is going to vote. It doesn't reflect the World Athletics family. It doesn't reflect the World Athletics Council. But I think this does say something pretty huge here, because even over SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE, having single-handedly the greatest female sprinting season ever, McLaughlin has 50% more of the votes than her. This is just a next-level accomplishment here. So with the World Athletics Female Athlete of the Year coming up just around the corner, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into this discussion because we certainly have great competition. And against McLaughlin, we have Toby Amusan, who broke the world record this year in the 100 hurdles, world champion in this event, and ran incredibly well throughout the entire season. SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE, again having the single greatest 100-meter season in female athletics history. Yulimar Rojas from Venezuela, absolutely crushing the women's triple jump, incredibly underrated athlete. And then there's Kimberly Garcia, who I will admit, I wasn't very familiar with her because she is a race walker, and I don't really cover that. I can respect it, but I just don't cover it. So I did a little research, and she won both the 20 and 35-kilometer World Championship race walking this year, which apparently is the first time that's ever been done, and she ran it in national record time and championship record time. So certainly very impressive, but I think just optics-wise, the race walking does not get as much attention as do the other events in this very video here. So I think it's going to be quite difficult for her to take this title, but I certainly respect what she's done, and she's certainly done something incredible this year. So before I posted this, I actually thought a lot of people were going to say this is going to be between Sydney McLaughlin and SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE. They're both legends. They're both iconic figures. They're both running some of the fastest times in history, but I see why people are voting Sydney McLaughlin so easily. What she did this year is just next level, even next level over SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE, as hard as that is to admit. Because I think SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE really did set a new standard for what's possible in the women's 100, but at the end of the day, McLaughlin does hold the official world record. Despite what your opinion is on the women's 100-meter world record, SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE does not have that in the record books at the moment. But to add a little bit more detail into Sydney McLaughlin's year, she went undefeated in the 400 hurdles, she broke the world record twice, and she set an absolutely mind-bending, epic, crazy, every single adjective that you could think of, world record in the World Championships, running a 50.68. And you actually need to contextualize this time a little bit more to understand how amazing it is. If she had run this 50.68 in the open 400, she would have placed 7th, and she would have beaten 2 athletes in this race. That is easily one of the craziest facts about any world record that I have read this season. So Sydney McLaughlin has certainly set a new standard, and her abilities to run so fast at such a high level are unchallenged in her event. But I also think she deserves some attention for her final leg of the women's 4x4 in the World Championships, where she ran a sub 48, which was easily the fastest time in the World Championships, and I think her time was 47.9, and that performance was such a huge push for the US. It put them almost 3 seconds ahead of any other team, and it only further cemented Sydney McLaughlin's dominance this season. It was just amazing. But I do have to give credit where credit is due, and I certainly mean that in the highest possible sense, because SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE does deserve a real consideration when it comes to Female Athlete of the Year. She was the world champion for the 5th time, which has never been done before. She broke 10.7 seconds 7 times, which has also never been done before. She was this year's Diamond League champion. She broke the Masters world record, which is kind of crazy when you realize it, because the Masters times go down to 35 years old, and I believe she's 36. So she actually broke the world records multiple times this season in the women's 100 and in the women's 200 meters, because she did place second in the World Championships in the 200 meters as well. But her 100-meter season was just ridiculous. If you take a look at a before and after picture of the women's 100 meters this season, it's just a complete overhaul of SHELLY-ANN FRASER-PRYCE at the top. And it really does make a difference considering that she's over 35. Because at this age, most people would begin to decline slightly in performances. But I've said this before and I'll say it again, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is truly built different, and it's crazy to think that she could actually run even faster next season. She seems to have such a good mindset and such an intensely disciplined training regime that she comes into every season fully rejuvenated, fully determined, ready to attack anything, including the world record, which I've made many videos on in the past, and it's just such a complicated issue for so many different reasons. Whether you agree or disagree that FloJo is the world record holder, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is still only number 3 all time, which is still an amazing performance. 10.60 is ridiculous. But many people do think that it's going to come down between McLaughlin and Fraser-Pryce for this year's Female Athlete of the Year award. I agree with that, but I think all of these athletes are incredible, and I think Yulimar Rojas is probably the most underrated here. She's only gotten 1% of the vote, and I do think, again, that's because McLaughlin and Fraser-Pryce are so powerful up front, but just look at her year. World record indoors, undefeated, world champion, one of the most dominant athletes in any event, in any sport. I think she's only going to get better, which is crazy to think, and I think she's going to go undefeated unless something really strange happens. It'd be an injury or she just fouls in all of her attempts. So she is certainly one of the most dominant figures, and she will probably win the biggest events of the year over the next few years. So I definitely think she deserves consideration, but Sydney McLaughlin and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce sitting atop of the rankings, not just in votes over social media, but in this poll here, and I'm very curious as to how it's going to turn out over the next 24 hours, so make sure you head on over to Total Running Productions and vote, and leave your comments down below as to why you think these athletes are going to win, what you really think about the full voting process. So yeah, that's going to be about it for this video, and thanks for watching.